Sustainability. The word refers to the practices, processes, and products that meet current needs without compromising on the future. Typically, it involves an ecological balance, conserving resources, and even minimizing the environmental impact. And this is a very good example of that. It's Mercedes-Benz's newest, most compact, and most affordable EV. And it's got some big claims. For example, at the end of its life cycle, the battery can be recycled up to 96%. And when I say this, I don't mean this. I mean this, the new Mercedes-Benz EQA 250 Plus, and today we're gonna drive it. At first glance, this looks a lot like the GLA, and that's because it's based on the same platform. Mercedes-Benz has swapped out the old traditional engine and fuel tank and put in a battery pack with a motor. But because it's not based on a dedicated EV platform, it doesn't get front storage, which is kind of a letdown. But there's a lot to like about its design. The EQ design is quite evident. You have this full-width LED strip that is flanked by these LED headlamps and have this nice blue accent integrated in them. The traditional grille has been blanked out with this gloss black panel and has tri-star motifs integrated in it. Even the lower apron has been tweaked so that overall the front end has a better aerodynamic efficiency. Now in terms of the profile, it's pretty much like the GLA again, but you have one key difference. The wheels. They are 19-inch wheels that are aerodynamically optimized, and they have the AMG branding because they're again lightweight. Mercedes is just pushing for an extra few kilometers of range that you get from the battery pack. And at the rear, the tail lamps are connected by this full-width LED strip, and because of that, the Mercedes logo is now lower and doubles up as your button for the electric boot lid. Lower down, the bumper is finished in matte black with some chrome treatment. And on the inside, you get 340 liters of boot space, which is 100 less than its ICE counterpart and should be fine for most urban cases. If you want more space, you can always fold down the rear seats, which go down in a 40-20-40 split. Now stepping inside, you're greeted to this nice sporty steering wheel wrapped in leather, and you have these nice touch sensitive buttons which are quite tactile. Behind that, you have a dual 10.25-inch screen setup with the latest MBUX OS for the infotainment screen. Now that gets turn-by-turn navigation with augmented reality, along with a few EQ only apps which tell you about the charging status, range and consumption types. And it also has gesture control. You have a panoramic sunroof. You also get other tech stuff like a wireless charging. You have USB Type-C ports, the Mercedes Parktronic function. You have a nice heads-up display, a Burmester 12-speaker sound system, and you have these new turbine-style vents which are finished in rose gold. In terms of the fit and finish levels, it's something that you'd expect from a European car in this segment. And one thing I want to mention specifically are these seats. Now they're wrapped in man-made leather, but the center portion is made out of fabric that is made using PET plastic bottles. Now that is sustainable. And now let's get into the back seat. Now the front driver seat is adjusted to my ideal driving position, and I have a bit of a knee room and good amount of headroom actually. What I don't have is under thigh support because the floorboard is raised due to the batteries placed underneath it. So if you are planning long journeys with this, it might be a bit uncomfortable. But it's not all bad because you have dedicated air conditioning vents, you have an armrest with cup holders, and you have a good view out of the panoramic sunroof as well. But if you're planning for a chauffeur-driven experience, it's best to be short. And since I'm not, I'm going to get into the driver's seat and tell you all about that. So before we start, let me just tell you that we have 72% of charge, and that's indicating 289 kilometers of range, and with max range it's showing 385 kilometers. Now max range is something that's in the infotainment. It's a button that optimizes all functions of the car to give you maximum range. And the WLTP claimed range of this car is 560 kilometers, and the one that we're driving is the EQA 250 Plus variant. And the Plus comes from the bigger 70.5 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it's paired to a permanent magnetic motor at the front which produces 190 horsepower and 385 Newton meters of torque. And because the EQA is based on a 100 kilowatt hour architecture, it can go from 10 to 80% charge in just 30 minutes, which should give you around 400 kilometers of range. Now that the specs are out of the way, the seating is really nice and I get a good visibility out of the window, and the ride immediately feels a lot more refined than its ICE sibling. And that's the thing, with a lot of enthusiasts will hate on EVs for no good, but due to their nature, the ride is so much better than its ICE counterpart. Most normal humans will appreciate the smoothness, the lack of vibration, noise, harshness, and overall it's a very calming and a soothing experience to drive an EV. Now in terms of handling, the battery pack is placed low down in the bodywork, so it's got a very low center of gravity, and the cornering is quite flat. There is no drama, there is no body roll that is not in control, and overall the EQA feels very planted even at highway speeds. And in terms of it handling over broken roads, it fares quite well, except for that occasional thud from the 19-inch wheels. Overall, it's quite a comfortable handling compact SUV. In terms of the performance, it's got a motor mounted up front, producing 190 horsepower and 385 Newton meters of torque. And 0 to 100 comes up in around 8.5 seconds. That's not lightning fast, but it's quick enough for your city drives. Overtaking's a breeze, though don't expect a sudden kick that you get from a larger Mercedes EV. In this, it's all about the smoothness, the refined acceleration. Now a lot of EVs have a weird braking system because initially it's the regen that kicks in and then the braking gets in. But in this, it's all very progressive, it's very predictable. And even when you use the regen modes, which you have 4 modes, you have a coast, a strong and a maximum. Maximum is something that you'd use only at highway speeds because it's quite strong. And you also have an intelligent mode that keeps changing depending on how you drive. Overall, everything about the EQA 250 Plus on the road is very predictable. To sum it up, the EQA is an adaptation of the GLA, and there's no hiding from that. But this one is a more well-rounded SUV in the urban context compared to its ICE sibling. And we suggest it would be priced between 60 to 70 lakhs. And at that price point, it will go up against the BMW iX1, which has a few more features like massaging seats that this one misses out on, along with the Volvo XC40 Recharge, which has more performance. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below if you would pick this over its European rivals.